Angel's world was a muted watercolor, its colors bled thin by the constant gray of fear. Her days were not marked by the bright laughter of other children, but by the hollow echoes of the principal's office. Mrs. Thorns wasn't a monster with claws and fangs, she was worse. She was a woman with a placid smile that never reached her eyes and a voice as smooth as river stone, which made her words cut all the deeper. It started with small things. A misplaced book, a tardy slip. Angel, a quiet and sensitive child, seemed to attract her attention like a moth to a flame. "Angel," she would say, her voice a low hum, "you are so forgetful. Don't you try to be a better student?" The questions were always rhetorical, coded in a patronizing tone that chipped away at her self-worth. It wasn't just the words, it was the way her gaze lingered, the way she would lean in so close Angel could smell the stale coffee on her breath, her presence a suffocating weight. The other children saw her as an outcast, the one always being called out in the hallways. Their whispers followed her like a shadow. "Angel's in trouble again," they'd say, and the distance between her and the rest of the world grew. The playground, once a place of potential joy, became a minefield of judgment. The monkey bars were for kids who weren't bad. The kickball game was for kids who deserved to belong. Angel found herself a lonely island in a sea of young faces, convinced she was fundamentally flawed. At home, she withdrew into herself. Her parents, busy and exhausted, mistook her silence for typical childhood moodiness. "Just a phase," her mother would sigh, as Angel's drawings became darker, her bright crayons replaced with charcoal grays and deep blacks. The vibrant girl who once chattered about imaginary adventures with her stuffed animals was gone, replaced by a ghost who haunted her own home. She stopped sharing, stopped asking for help, and started believing the lies she was being fed. "I am the problem. I am bad. I am not good enough." This was the narrative Mrs. Thorns had written for her, and she had internalized every word. The trauma didn't manifest as a single, dramatic event, it was a slow, steady erosion of her spirit. It was the feeling of her stomach clenching every time she heard a woman's sharp tone. It was the way she would flinch if an adult touched her shoulder in a kind gesture. The world, through her eyes, was a place of potential threat, and trust became a concept as foreign as a star she couldn't see. Years later, as an adult, Angel was a brilliant architect, but her success was built on a shaky foundation. She was a perfectionist, meticulously checking every detail of her designs, driven by a deep-seated fear of making a mistake. Her relationships were fleeting, her heart a guarded fortress. She would sabotage a new friendship at the first sign of conflict, convinced the other person would eventually see what Mrs. Thorns saw in her, the flawed girl. Her childhood, a time that should have been a safe harbor, was now a constant storm in the back of her mind. The trauma wasn't a broken bone that healed and was forgotten. It was a phantom ache, a whisper in the dark that reminded her she was always just one misstep away from being exposed as the bad girl from long ago. Angel was successful, but not happy. She was kind, but not open. She was a survivor, but she was still living with the invisible scars left by the principal who saw a child, and instead of nurturing her, chose to break her.